I think we are live. It is John Murray. And yes, I am taking over Sybil Wilkes headlines because guess what? As technology would have it, Sybil's having problems getting on tonight. So George and I are bringing testosterone to headlines because it's two men here and we're going to be running the show. George, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing very good, and thank you so much. It's good to have you, to be with you live from New York City. I'm Dr. George Wallace, and what a pleasure it is to be with you today. It's such a great day. It's a Thursday, which is our Friday, so that means we're going to have some fun. If Sybil doesn't come in, I'm going to lighten up, and we're just going to laugh a little bit, okay? I'm almost sick and tired of this serious news, because if I get too involved, I'm going to wind up saying the wrong thing, John.
Yeah, listen, George, it's one of those climates, as a comic, for years, you're of the comedic generation where you all got a pass for everything. Like everything was excused because you were a comic. And I often wonder, George, and this is maybe a good place for us to just have a small conversation before we get into the headlines. How would people like, Donna Rickles and Joan Rivers, people who you saw at the height of their career when you were coming up in the comedy ranks, how would they have survived in today's climate with all of this political correctness, this cancel culture, this sensitivity? How do you think comics like that would have thrived or survived in this climate?
Well, the phrase we use today, John, is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. So back in the day, and I'm a part of this too, I shouldn't be getting too involved in saying right off the top of my head about some of the problems we have with the Haitians and all the things that are going on with the Democratic Party, because I'm a part of the Democratic Party, and some things I'm not satisfied with. I might say the wrong thing. So I'm backing off a little bit on the news, and I'm just going to start dwelling on more issues. See, my job is to do AB3 or 1-2-C, to twist on the end to make the funny. So I'm going to let you guys do the talking, and I'll try to come in with something funny somewhere. See, we have our special guest tonight is a friend of mine. I've been trying to get on this show for a year and a half, John. And I think is she going to a party? What the hell is she dressed? What?
She's quite fancy. She got her shoulders out for us tonight, George.
Yeah. And the last time I saw her with her shoulders out, it was at the beach. She had
at the Vineyard, at Martha's Vineyard.
She had everything on.
Well, George, that is the destination for the upwardly mobile Black Americans. So I'm sure you all had a good time up in the Vineyard.
We did, didn't you, George? The Vineyard was great.
Let me tell you something, John. I don't know whether John, you've been in the business maybe 10 or 15 years. I'm not sure you have enough money to go to Martha's Vineyard.
Not quite yet.
You could go. There's a budget.
I got Hampton's money, not quite Vineyard money yet.
No, if you got Hampton's money, you good. Vineyard money is not Hampton's money. Hampton's money is like.
I don't know if either one of you have seen this new show. Sybil is our TV aficionado. Our Kind of People that premiered on Fox. It is a show that Lee Daniels is producing, Tasha Smith is directing, and it's set in the Vineyard. Now, it's funny because, I know that April's been to the Vineyard. One of my mentors, Tanya Hart, used to have a house in the Vineyard. They're not a light-skinned person on Our Kind of People. Everybody in the Vineyard is dark-skinned.
You know what? I'm getting off right now if you start that.
No, stay, April. Please stay, April.
No. Let me tell you something. I'm not generationally the Vineyard. There are people who've gone for generations. Yes. I am new to this, but since 1999, but I love it. But the Hamptons is like on a whole, there are people that we all know that like the Hamptons better than they like the Vineyard. The Vineyard has more middle income people.
Yes.
Hamptons is like
above and beyond.
Well, and listen, there's a section that shout out to TV executive Adrienne Lopez. She calls the rhythm section in the Hamptons. Is there a historically Black neighborhood where so many great people, everybody from Dr. Suzanne Johnson Cook to Susan Taylor. I think even Tamron Hall has homes in what they call the rhythm section. But the Hamptons is a beautiful place. I got invited to the Vineyard a few times. I just could never make it work logistic-wise because it's not necessarily an easy place to go to.
It's not. It's either the ferry or the plane that's always delayed because of weather. But it is a great spot. So, okay, on Our Kind of People, somebody told me to watch it. And I was like, because I remember the book years ago that came out. And I said, oh, this must be on the book. I watched it and I was like, wow. I said,
Our Kind of People?
Yeah, just it's on. Is it Fox? Or is
it's
Fox Soul, right?
Yeah,
No. It's Fox Network. It's a primetime show starring
true.
Morris Chestnut,
I
Yaya
was
DaCosta.
right. And Yaya was
Exactly.
Whitney Houston. And she was also on America's Top Model. I'm not in the entertainment and TV, but I remember Yaya. You old enough, you've been around, you long enough, you know. So anyway, let me say this. I figured it was Lee Daniels because it had some of that Lee Daniels. You know the footprint of certain people that you really like.
Soap opera element that he likes.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So you know the footprint of some people that you like, and I was like, this seems so familiar. But so the only thing that I recognized was in the opening, in the piece that opens before the show comes on. I saw the lighthouse and I saw Edgartown, the sign. Right. I didn't see anything. The vineyard doesn't have major buildings, corporate buildings there. So I was like, But I get the feel. It was bougie. It was
very much bougie. It's so bougie, that's why you don't know what's happening, because everybody's in their little clique. They're on their little piece of land. Everybody goes to this house and they just hang out there. So we hang out downtown.
That's the fun of it. It's not a clique. It's like everybody's like, you want to come over for dinner? But you know what I did this year? I'd never done this before in my life. I had a fish fry. We ate outside.
Oh, wow. Really?
Caught fish, and me and my kids went on the boat, caught fish, and went back, had a fish fry. I went to Edgartown to the seafood place, got seafood. We had the best time. Everybody on the porch time.
That's what I wanted you to say, into town. That's where the fun is, on the street when we go to
Circuit Avenue. Avenue.
Yeah, what we have. Some black people are watching right now. African Americans are watching right now. Have no idea what we're talking about in this place, because Martha's Vineyard. When I got there, I didn't know rich people go there every August, the whole month of August.
No, they go. They go. There's a July crowd, but there's that August crowd. That the August crowd of people who think they're vacationing with the Obamas. The Obamas don't want to be around you. They got their own whole campus by themselves. You may see a glimpse of a car go by.
But they just want to know that the president is here. When I was there, the president was on the golf course with me. Okay, so I was up in there, John. I was up in there with the big shot.
How long before Secret Service ran you up off that golf course?
No, John. When you get there and you arrive, people know that you must be somebody.
That's true.
Well, listen,
before we get into the headlines, and I'm really hoping Sybil Wilkes can work through her technology challenges and
I hope she can, because she's too serious. I think we can handle it.
Sybil's having some tech challenges, April. April, I want you to talk about where you are now professionally. You know, you embarked on a new chapter late last year to the top of this year, after being the force and really the face of most of the black media in the White House, holding it down for that boutique syndicated radio company that you were affiliated with. You went on to start a new chapter with the digital empire with the great Byron Allen. Talk about your new journey at the Griot and all that you've been doing in this latest incarnation of April Ryan in the White House.
John, can I ask this before she gets started? Let's introduce and tell people who she is. Some people may not know this is the April Ryan that we see on from the White House.
George, you know you did that a few minutes ago. I know the mine is the first.
No, I never mentioned that before. I never introduced her job, her position, where she came from, how we know her. Some people are going, right, that's April? That's the lady that's talking.
Shoulders out. I'm a woman.
That's the lady that was talking to the president.
And I work at the White House, but I'm a woman first, and I'm a mother first.
So tell us about this new journey at the Griot, April.
So before we do that,
we'll get around to it.
This is a fun time. So I'm now working for, how did they say it on that movie? Byron Allen. Remember that?
Oh, you're doing Tiana Taylor from that Tyler Perry Family Reunion movie. Come on, April Ryan with the pop culture reference.
It's making George have a fit. Look at it. He's like, what the hell is this? So, the pretty girl who got the reality show before she was in Coming to America 2. She was in that little Tyler Perry show, and she had a baby by, was it Bow Wow?
Bow Wow.
Yeah, and she was like, and she would get on his nerves and get on the family nerves. She go, and Medea said, shut it up right now. I said, okay. So anyway, yes, I work for Byron Allen. the billionaire Byron
The
Allen,
billionaire,
black billionaire Byron Allen, who is buying up everything and anything media. Yes. And I got to say this, Byron is amazing. We met at, speaking of Tyler Perry, we met at Tyler Perry's party when he opened up the studio in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And Byron said, do you know I tried to buy that boutique network that you're with because of you? I said, what? I said, are you kidding me? And Byron and I was so floored and so humbled and so honored. And we became friends. If you're in Byron's cell phone, you'll get a call. It's like, what's up? And he wants to talk to you about news or whatever. He can talk, and he's a regular person, but he has a lot of commas and zeros behind his name, but he's a smart man. He's a smart businessman. Yes. He's an empire builder. And he saw what I did at the White House. You know, he says he wanted to do all things Black. He is the owner of the Griot. And, you know, I've been at the White House for 24 years, and things shifted. And Byron was like, hey, come over here. I was like, whoa. I said, you serious? And he was dead serious, and I'm dead serious with him. And I'm now the Washington bureau chief, the White House correspondent for the Griot, and we are doing amazing work. One of the reasons why I'm late now is because I have been working like a Georgia mule. I've been working so hard, but we're putting out stories that really make a difference for Black America. And the problem is that Black America is not always thought of. Mm-hmm. When look at what's happening now with the budget and the infrastructure. They got mad about the housing stuff. They got mad about the reparations for the Black farmers. But we're part of America too. Mm-hmm. And when they want to start cutting and figuring out how to balance the budget, the first thing that goes are things that affect us, our people.
Yes.
And so we have been on, let's go to Haiti. We've been doing stuff talking about Haiti for a minute. And I got receipts. Go on thegrill.com, go to the politics section, check on the politics tab, go down, you see it around, press it around, you see a lot of the stories that we've been doing. And when it came time, I mean, they just had a major earthquake. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. And it's people that look like us. And people wondering, why do we care about Haiti? We've had a long history with Haiti. Haitians have fought wars with us and for us. So go back in the history. If we can give to other countries who do far less,
and, you know. April, listen, now that you've got the wheels turning in politics, let's jump into one of our headlines tonight. So the House approved a Senate-passed bill to keep the government funded through early December, narrowly avoiding a government shutdown tonight at midnight.
We
narrowly avoided this. I feel like, April, this is happening every other year now.
They're kicking the can down the road until when? What's the date?
December. Right now, it's early December. Talk about the impact of what we've avoided with this temporary fix with this government shutdown.
So, you will love this one because you like to dig in the weeds. So we've had 21 government shutdowns in U.S. history.
Wow.
The Trump shutdown, I believe it was 34 days, was the longest. And there were people who didn't get paid. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That was hurt. We're compounding hurt already on top of it. We are right now watching a lot of these meat processing companies profiteer off of us. Prices at the supermarket are high. Gasoline prices are high. The rent is too damn high. Remember that man in New York?
Is going crazy.
Bacon. And that's
bacon.
It's everything. And the farmers are being gouged, but the companies like Tyson, and I'm saying that because the White House said it, the Secretary Vilsack, head of agriculture, said that. We were in the briefing room just a couple of weeks ago. People are being pinched. And if you notice, if you go to the market, they're starting to ration some things again. So if you got this going on and then you're fearful of a shutdown and you may not get paid, hurt upon hurt. And that's part of the problem. So now what's happening is that They're trying to stave off. They've got, this is kind of, they're kicking the can down the road to try to work out a solution. And I pray a solution for the American public. I pray a solution happens, because we don't want that. But let me get into another pop culture thing, Mr. John.
But listen, before you get into the pop, though, I have a follow up, because you.
But this is part of it. But go ahead, go with your follow up.
I wanted to ask you about, I'm
not going to be Sean Spice or Sarah Huckabee. Yes,
hilarious. We all know that part of the delay that we're having with so many of these aspects of getting government bills across, and us people who identify on the Democratic side of things being able to accomplish the goals that they want to, because of Kristen Sinema and because of what's my gentleman's name in West Virginia?
Joe Manchin.
We know that they in some people's eyes have become obstructionists. They're the most powerful Democrats
it's not about Chuck Schumer. It's not about Chuck Schumer. It's not about
Nancy Pelosi.
It's about Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. And
how challenging, April, is it for this administration, as they look forward to accomplish things in their own agenda, to be able to get these two on board?
So let's go to this part. This president, Joe Biden, said, I don't have on my glasses and I can't see. So this president said, I know how these things work. I've been there. Well, that was back then. He doesn't know this new crew. This new crew will shut it down. And they are. This new crew is just out of the box crazy. Yeah. And my thing is, Joe Manchin, he's a Democrat. And I'm like, if you're a Democrat, you are leaning into what the Republicans are doing. And you have to remember, West Virginia is a what state? It's a red state. So he's playing the game that Republicans would do. But he's got Joe Manchin, I feel so bad for people who thought that they were going to get in and be powerful. Right. Chuck Schumer, it's not really about Chuck Schumer anymore. It's about, what does Joe Manchin think? What does Kristen Sinema think? And Kristen Sinema is in Arizona that it turned blue. It turned blue that last time. Right, now. But it's kind of it's purple. But yes, but it's got a history of this. But I will say this. It's a bipartisan state. Yeah. So she is appealing, quite frankly, to a lot of those Trumpers. They love that power. And I feel sorry.
That's an operative word, April. Power corrupts. And sometimes I think people's desire to stay in power and to have influence over a circumstance compromises their ability to do like the Republicans but let me tell you Democrats have to fall in love. Republicans will fall in line.
Well, let me tell you this. They've got people on their tail like Reverend Barber.
Like white on rice. That's a good old country saying.
That's what you were say. I didn't say that. They got people on their tail like Reverend Barber. Reverend Barber is the one who says, look, this voting rights thing that Joe Manchin is holding up. Reverend Barber said, hey, look, he said, this is not just a black person's issue, and stop lying. And he's gone to those churches. I mean, think about this. Voting rights, the face right now is us, but it affects the disabled. It affects our Latinx brothers and sisters. It affects the Asians. It affects whites. And a lot of people are saying, you guys are lying. It's just like the thing with Tim Scott. Tim Scott lied about policing. That's a whole nother thing. We got a whole bunch of black agenda items that we need to talk about. But Sybil, where are you? So anyway.
George, I got a question for you, George. Because you.
Wait a minute. I want to finish something.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I want to finish something. I want to shut down real quick. And this is kind of a trivial question, but it's real. Do you remember when the Monica Lewinsky scandal happened?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was in middle school, but I do remember it.
Well, I was working at the White House. So do you remember what was happening when it happened?
Was there a shutdown going on around that time?
We were same thing, yeah.
Wow.
There was a government shutdown. Monica Lewinsky was asked to take a pizza to the president of the United States because other staffers went around.
Oh,
and that Monica Lewinsky movie thing is coming on FX.
No, it's already on. I'm watching.
Oh, it is? I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna go watch it.
Listen, because if Sybil was here right now, she would definitely have a TV diversion because Sybil loves her TV. I've been watching impeachment, and listen, April, you know that I love all of these. Ryan Murphy does compelling content, so I've watched all the documentaries on the Hillary and Monica thing. I'm a little exhausted by it, but I signed on for impeachment because Monica Lewinsky is an executive producer on this particular project, and I really wanted to see the story from her lens. And I have to tell you, it might not be the popular thing to say, particularly in this post Time's Up Me Too era, but I do not feel sorry for her.
Not at all.
I never did. She knew.
What are you talking about?
Well, let me explain. If y'all don't beat me up too bad,
the blue dress right there was enough.
All right,
who holds the blue step?
I feel like Whoopi Goldberg. One of us can April, only one of us can talk at a time. I feel like Whoopi Goldberg right now. All right.
So April is rolling. I'm going to get my horse and my whip.
All right. So
that's a trigger thing, Georgia. You growing
up, I always felt like Monica Lewinsky played a significant part in the thing. I understand that sometimes when it comes to white women, people will treat a 22-year-old like they're an innocent child. And if we talk about black girls at the same age, people will call them a grown woman. So I always had the idea that she was responsible and she was.
No, they call them. They call them bad names. They call them bad. They call a black woman a bad name if they do it. Yeah.
All right. So my point is that I always felt like she was a co-conspirator in this thing. But over time, because history began to soften to this story and they began to portray Bill Clinton as more of a predator and her as a victim. And yes, there was an abuse of power there. Watching this drama series that she is telling through her lens and watching how aggressively she targeted this man. How
there you go.
Exactly.
This woman, not only was she an aggressor in this dynamic, even though as a married man he was wrong, and as the leader of the he was wrong.
Her boss, he was wrong. She was an intern.
But I also think she was a bit mental, and I don't know if this is what she's intending to convey at all.
Her mother
does not seem well in her mind watching this, and then learning. She also did this with a school teacher. Listen,
let me say this. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she's telling the truth. She targeted Bill Clinton. In her mind, she thought, oh, well, he's known to be out there doing things. Why doesn't he want me? So that's the way. Read the Ken Starr report.
She wasn't the only one. She was just the one that was there that got to
the one that got caught. But no, he was,
and the one that kept the stain.
That is sinister right there within itself.
Absolutely, but hey, I got ding dong some good news. Sybil Wilkes,
Sybil's coming on. Come on, Sybil.
Her tech is working, and she is back to take the reins.
Oh my God! Hello, everybody.
Sybil.
It's a tough crew tonight, Sybil. I feel like Meghan McCain is in here. It's hard to get a word in.
You know what? I'm not worried about John.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for your patience, everybody, and April of all days for this to happen. I'm so excited to have you here. So I want to jump in.
John is mischievous. I just don't want to come out.
We're having fun.
A lot of times as you all were having these great discussions, but I do want to take it to what's really going on. These are, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that have happened, and then I want to take a deep dive into these things. And why do you think things are happening this way? And a lot of this relates to some things that John and I have talked about. It also relates to things that are going on in your backyard or your front yard, April. So here we go. First of all,
did you see how she just came in and just took over this damn show?
Her name is on the marquee.
It's called It's Sybil, George.
Just come in and change it.
So here's a story that John and I were talking about, and I really want to talk about this because this Florida State House representative, he's a first-term state representative in Florida, 30 years old, and he's now choking on his words as he has now attacked DC food. All right, so this is a young man who actually, and you know what, April, it appears that not only is he a first-term Florida representative, but he is going to aim for Alcee Hastings' old congressional seat. So he's learning the ways of DC politics very quickly.
Did he go to Ben's Chili Bowl? Did he go to Ben's Chili Bowl?
Oh no, April, it gets worse than that. Listen to it. Let us set it up for you real quick.
Did you say it gets worse?
It gets worse.
It gets worse than that. Go ahead.
Yes,
I can't speak like that, George. Go ahead.
So here's the story. This young man is talking about the food in DC, and he went on Twitter. And his name is Representative Omari Hardy. And he said, can we talk about DC food being terrible? Because it's not great, y'all. And what did he say that for? This young man, everybody went in. He's working hard so he can spend more time in DC, taking aim at the place where a town where you guys take great pride.
Where did he go? Because they have some really good food in DC.
Listen.
So some people came at him. He had hundreds of responses, and
Thousands.
not the least of which, thousands of responses. Thanks, John. Not the least of which was the great and humanitarian chef Jose Andres, and he was one of the many who contributed to the attacks on young Mr. Hardy. And he told him in so many words, with all due respect, sir, even if you were right with facts, with a person in your position, wouldn't be nice to talk about anything you did like versus trashing thousands of cooks, restaurant owners, and food trucks that are trying to save their restaurants.
There's some good trucks. There's some good food trucks. That's what they do.
That's just the first thing.
Restaurants, food trucks. First thing. Okay, what else? Okay,
thing.
What's the next
So
thing?
now you have members of the U.S. Congress that are just saying rude and irresponsible things. Not the least of which we have a new member of Congress from the state of Georgia who is now infamous for her actions and her words. Can we just say Marjorie Taylor Greene?
We can say
How do you respond to these things? Because when you have a Marjorie Taylor Greene who is trying, she tried Congresswoman Cori Bush. She tried her. But I think calmer heads prevail, because if I was Cori, I would have put hands on her and moved her out of my way. But
but she could have, because she is a minister. She could have done JESUS.
Hallelujah.
But I think calmer and cooler heads prevailed, and she might have gone to the speaker and said, I'm about to duke this girl up. And the speaker said, why don't we just move your office, dear?
Right.
And then last week we had.
But
Taylor
she went.
Greene.
Didn't she go after? Didn't she harass AOC? She was running after her. She stalked her. You can't do that on the street.
That's the
you
other
can't do
example.
that on the street. You can't do that on the street.
But
That's
y'all know who
second
she ain't ran
example.
up on yet, right? She
Maxine.
ain't ran up on Maxine Waters, because Auntie would
But
put
she
foot in
tried
that
it.
ass.
She tried last week with Debbie Dingle from Detroit. She tried it last week with
Debbie Dingle ain't Maxine Waters.
Listen,
though.
them women
I
of the
get that.
Congressional
I get
Black
that.
Caucus need to get together and
Honey,
collect.
she ain't run up on Betty, Joyce
That's not
Beatty.
where we're going.
She
That's
hasn't.
not where
I
we're
get.
going.
Okay, so I know what you're saying. So
what is it? What is it about these, especially young people, but especially people, whatever their politics are, they feel as though they have the right to say anything without any repercussions.
So
what's going on?
Do you know certain parts of the electorate want people who are very real and very honest and open? And that might have been his appeal, but it's also seeming like it's his curse. Mm-hmm. And what the old folks would say, he's young-minded. You don't say something like that. Young-minded. Remember that? Young-minded. He's just young-minded. That's all. It's stupidity. Yeah. And he's now going to be the target of many people. They probably have his picture up already. Mm-hmm. And he will be the target of many in restaurants. He may not even be allowed in because of his ignorance, because people don't want to hear that. There is wonderful food in DC.
Food.
There's expensive food. There's not so expensive food.
Food trucks.
But it's food trucks,
restaurants
around the White House, restaurants out in the community.
Capitol Grill.
That's right, between the White House and the Hill.
Carolina Kitchen, a black-owned high-end soul food restaurant.
Hamilton.
Queen Mother's Chicken. You got Hamilton. You've got Bus Boys and Poets.
Bus Boys and Poets
all over this city.
The Oval Room, the Bombay Club.
Listen.
We're not arguing the quality of the food. What we're talking about, though,
is let me make this one more point, though, Sybil.
AOC has done this before. She's spoken out and gotten into some trouble.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is the leader of putting her foot in her mouth, and now this young man.
She's still there, and she's dangerous, and she's not going to be the only one.
Why are they doing this? Why do they feel so compelled to just
social media
whatever
culture,
comes up comes out?
People feel like they need to overshare everything that comes out. And I will say this, DC is funny, not only about its culinary scene and our seafood and our great restaurants, but they're also funny about our condiments. DC almost ran Muriel Bowser up out of the mayor's office because she like mumbo sauce. So if a man from Florida is going to come in and say he don't like our... Listen, Florida, we about to run your guy up out of town.
Well, that's the first thing he's from Florida, so he's screwed up.
Hashtag only in Florida.
But I bet you he bet not go to any black joint. He bet not go to Ben's Chili Bowl, because Lord.
I think he should go to Ben's Chili Bowl so they can teach his ass a lesson and make him eat the sausage with the grease. Eat the hot dog with all the grease.
And bring him one of those Octavia Spencer pies from the Help.
Ooh.
What did you say?
Ooh.
One of those Octavia
Minnie
Spencer
don't burn
pies
no chicken.
from the Help. She don't burn no chicken, but she will poop in your pie.
So,
All right,
just-
Meghan McCain.
You just ate my pie.
and here's why I'm asking this, because not only because John and I talked about this, April, but because you're right there and you're in the mix of the varying generations. You
But
have
crazy comes to the White House and to the Hill as well. You have to understand there is a magnet for the crazies now. And now, and it's unfortunate, but there was a day that we thought that many of the politicians were esteemed and buttoned down. Now, the crazier, the wilder, the more misspeaking, you become a celebrity. Like John said, it's this social media culture. It's this irreverence. It's this, I can do what I want. And my family is in the kitchen just throwing dishes in. So anyway, if you hear all the pots and pans. But no, the problem is that people feel that they want to go against the grain. And people the American public is accepting it to a certain extent. But how far will we go before we do a self-correct? I am very nervous. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you keep saying it. She is not an anomaly.
Right.
There's more out there.
Right.
And the problem is, do you have people who don't have common sense ruling? And she is just a mirror of a foreshadowing of things to come. You got Donald Trump wanting to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
You got Donald Trump wanting to come back. You got Donald Trump wanting to come back.
Oh, Lord. April,
people
you have a PTSD over there. I get it.
April, sit down. Sit down. April, sit down. Sit down, April. Sit down.
But
Sit
April,
down.
you are so funny because this is your day-to-day existence.
Girl,
And
I tried.
And you're already on 20 on a 10 level, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but let me say this. All right, so if I'm on a 20, I have a reason to be on 100.
Oh, yeah.
At a 10 level.
Yeah, for sure.
January 6th took me to 5,000. But then to see these fools on September 18th to try to justify that mishmash, people died.
Yep.
The executive branch tried to this. I never read this in my history book. I don't know the history book that Donald Trump made. I need to see it. But the executive branch waged war on the legislative branch. One of the worst things that I saw in my life, to watch these congressional leaders run for safety. It ain't nothing, George, and I know you a man of faith. It ain't nothing but God. I'm telling you that not one of them were harmed. Can you imagine if they would have gotten Nancy Pelosi? Could you imagine if they got Mike Pence, if they put him in that gallows?
And talk about hanging him.
That's what I'm saying. They erected a noose.
Well,
they
listen.
desecrated John Lewis's memorial.
Right.
They defecated and smeared it all on the wall. They were nasty in every sense of the word. And then you hear Donald Trump and them saying, oh, they were just tourists. They were
Tourists.
picnicking.
And they're still talking that way. Just this week.
Exactly. And my problem is, I'll never forget. We saw the images, the juxtaposition of what happened in Lafayette Square. They turned us away and put the tanks on us, put him with his Bible upside down.
Right.
But then it was tens of thousands. It was about 25,000, according to Secret Service, that got through the magnetometer on the ellipse. There were tens of thousands more who did not come into the magnetometer on the ellipse when Trump was speaking because they had backpacks, understanding, and then they had those picks and whatever they had. They knew they couldn't make it through the magnetometer.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, they go and converge, but yet they don't arrest them. How many? Couple of hundred? Versus tens of thousands that were there. And I'm all upset. I pulled my things out my ear. So the thing that got me so upset, I know I'm upset. So the thing that got me so upset, I watched an elderly woman hobbling down, and you can see that she was hobbling down the steps. And it was and a police officer in riot gear was holding her hand, walking her down. Are they ever holding our hands when we're demonstrating for the rights that we deserve? There is such
the way they do when our rights are at stake, and when they take our hands, they put them behind our backs.
Or worse, death.
Yeah.
Before we run out of time, can I change the subject just a little bit?
No,
George, come on, George.
April, if you were an invisible woman and you were allowed to be in a room with Donald Trump speak.
If I was an invisible woman and if I was in a room with Donald Trump, I would do.
Let's just say, if you were, what would you say to him? Not even invisible. What if you had a moment, no repercussions, where you can just say whatever you want to say to him? What would you say to him?
I think that says a lot right there.
That does say a lot.
I think that's it. So let's come back to that, April. Let's take
a lot of people don't know, and that's fine. But I tell you, it's
no.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I have been traumatized. That administration. I'm going through trauma and I'm healing. There's trauma, and when you have to stand against the most powerful person in the world, and you still standing, and you still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody and everything tried to get me, and praise God, I'm still here. But trying to save your kids and stuff. But it is what it is. But he's gonna get his. God's watching. My mother used to always say,
and she's watching him right now.
Leave my daughter alone, Donald Trump.
Watching over you. So let's just take a moment, as Yolanda likes to say. Let's take a breath and inhale some of that good energy and exhale the negativity.
Okay,
and
so
let's talk about. Let's
what
talk a little
does
bit
Iyanla
about.
say? Breathe in 6 seconds and then let it go for 10.
That's right. So, April, I want to talk a little bit about our newsletter. This is something that we've been working on since before Tom Joyner left the airwaves, and it is. She's so crazy.
Talk about your newsletter.
She is crazy. For folks who don't know about the What You Need to Know newsletter, please go to SybilWilkes.com. It's absolutely free subscription. And we do what we learned from Tom Joyner. We try to super serve the African-American community with our stories.
Love Tom.
I know. And Tom still loves you. He will never lose his love for the great April Ryan.
Amen.
So, April, the first story we talked about, which we have tried to do over the period of time that these nominations have been made by the Biden administration regarding the U.S. attorneys that have been nominated to take over. And a great number of them are people of color.
Yes, that was released today.
Yes. So as of this week, we had several women who have been nominated. And not only are they Black women who are going to be running the U.S. attorney's offices, but a number of them have received degrees from historically Black colleges and universities.
Great.
Yeah.
Sandra Hairston, acting U.S. attorney in the Middle District of North Carolina, nominated to fill that position. Also, we have, who else do we have? Dina King. She'll be the first Black person to lead the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of North Carolina. Right. And so historically Black colleges.
In North Carolina, a Black woman.
Yeah. Attorney Kenneth Parker graduated from magna cum laude from Tuskegee. Ooh. And he's going to be in Ohio, the U.S. attorney in Ohio, in the state of Ohio. North Carolina Central University School of Law has produced 2 of these women, as well as one young woman got her, I think it was from the one who will lead the Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands.
She got her undergraduate degree from the University of Virgin Islands, and then her law degree from the Texas Southern Thurgood Marshall University School of Law. So how great is this, April? And how does that make you feel in terms of the faces that are being put on the U.S. attorney's offices?
Okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to put my fingers. There you go. My Morgan State University degree. You see that? Yes, that's right. That's right. Fair Morgan, we love these. I am such a fan of HBCUs, and it's magnificent. And my first speech in COVID was 2 weeks ago at your state, Norfolk State. A couple weeks ago. Yeah. Oh, yes. It was a couple weeks ago, Norfolk State. I went in person and I was like, oh my God. The only reason why I went is because it was an HBCU. And I said, let me try it out with family. HBCUs, and this is my quote, HBCUs love you to success.
Yeah.
And they loved those judges those nominees to success. Now, the bigger overarching piece of this, and I want everybody to really hear this and listen because it really is real. And I said this at Norfolk, and people are like, wow, in front of Congressman Bobby Scott, who is from Harvard. Do you know these Ivy League schools like Harvard and Yale, they tell their graduates, we want you to challenge the status quo because you will be ruling the world. Used to be.
Yeah.
Who's ruling it now?
The change
change is here. Yeah. Who's HBCU? Kamala Harris. Okay. Cedric Richmond Morehouse. Jay Johnson was Morehouse. We've got so many people. You've got Benny Thompson, Tougaloo, who's filing a lawsuit against Donald Trump for January 6th. You've got so many people. I believe, I forgot the college congressman.
Omarosa Howard, who just won a lawsuit against Trump. Absolutely.
So again, we have people who are sane, who are running.
Losing is so bad, Sybil.
Who's losing it?
Sybil I love to see Sybil laugh.
John,
because you're so mischievous.
Yes, he
is. Anyway,
but you're right. I mean, HBCUs are
ruling the world.
Every facet, absolutely.
That's what
George,
I'm saying.
Were HBCUs around when you went to college, George?
Oh Lord! So anyway,
I heard that. I almost went to Morgan State. I almost went to your school.
Really?
Yeah, but I wound up in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah,
did you get lost?
Seinfeld, right?
Sybil said, "Did you get lost?"
You started out for Baltimore and you ended up in Ohio?
Well, they had a degree in transportation, which is the #1 industry in the world. Okay, I'll explain that to you guys later. Okay.
Okay, so let me.
Wait a minute, but Sybil, we're getting back to that fact. We need, and this is Tom. We have to thank Tom for that too, for raising up HBCUs. We have got to stop thinking that all these other schools are running the world. We are now running the thing.
Yeah.
Which
is what HBCUs have always taught you guys.
That's what I'm saying. And we can the dynamic has changed. It's not Harvard, it's not Yale, it's not Georgetown. It's Howard. It's Morgan State. It's Tougaloo. It's Spelman. It's Morehouse.
It's Norfolk State.
It's Norfolk State.
And Sybil, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but a friend of April and I's, former Republican pundit, now an independent, Shermichael Singleton, he went to his HBCU as a recipient of a Tom Joyner scholarship.
You never did share that with me.
Wow.
So he talks about how him and so many of the guys that he knew were direct benefactors of that, and never had a chance, I think, to meet Tom or thank him for the scholarship. But yeah, a part of his time at Morehouse was attributed to getting a Tom Joyner scholarship.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm proud of everything you guys have said, but I want you guys to know, as proud as we are, Harvard and Yale, they still running this country no matter what y'all say.
Okay, George.
But
let's talk a little bit.
George,
white apologies to you.
It's changing. It's changing, though.
It's changing. That's right.
It's changing.
Totally. I love it.
One thing that we do in the newsletter every day, April, is talk about the coronavirus. And I thought that today's edition of the newsletter and the coronavirus conversation was about the captain. It was about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and taking NBA players to task for those who are choosing not to get vaccinated. And he says that, and the NBA bears some responsibility for not making these young men take the shot. If they can take the shot this way, he says they can take the jab. And also LeBron James has finally come out and said this. But I'm just curious what you all think about the old school NBA players like Kareem, who is a man of great esteem, who is telling people now, get off it. Let's go and let's do this. And the only way that they're going to get their message across is if they keep these guys on the bench because they can't play because of the rules in a lot of cities. What do you think?
A bunch of things. So I didn't. What you say, George? What?
It might backfire in a way if they make them sit and they still have to pay them.
No,
people gonna be concerned about.
No, if you don't play, you don't get paid.
Yeah, and Kyrie Irving in particular, he cannot play because he's in a state where you cannot even go into the buildings unless you have a vaccine because of the mandate. And so he would lose, I think TJ Holmes said on Good Morning America, something like $400,000 plus a day if he doesn't play. Andrew Wiggins of the Golden State Warriors, he can't physically go into the games. So these guys would miss literally half of the season because they would not be able to play any home games or play in the cities that have the mandates that you cannot go in the building. Stephen A. Smith gets in a lot of trouble. He gets a lot of backlash for a very bold and definitive point of view. But I agree with him when he says if these teams literally are going to lose these guys, even as star players, and they can't play the whole half of the season in the home games, I would just trade them. He was like, offload the burden. And the other challenge is Kyrie Irving is on, he's the vice president of the NBA. The Players Association. And so somebody who has leaned into conspiracy theories and a whole lot of dark web ideology. He himself has influence over the association making the decision what's best for the players. 90% of the guys are vaccinated. There's only a small number that isn't. And I just think it's just bad form for them to allow this. When Ted Cruz is cheering you on, Houston, we have a problem.
Then you know.
Yeah.
Who is vaccinated?
Who is vaccinated and who also subscribed to the Shut Up and Dribble campaign. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I think they should be sat down also. They really shouldn't be playing.
Down.
And I'm at the age now, I'm getting my booster shot tonight.
Are you really?
My third booster shot tonight, yes. So
your third booster.
Where they do that at?
Whatever, third booster shot.
Down there at the stove. Down there at the stove, at the Walgreens down there on the corner. That man won't do it.
So listen.
So April, what do you think?
So there's a lot to this. I did not realize there were as many conspiracy theories out here, so much misinformation, and we have bought into this as a people. I've heard some of the craziest stories, but what I will tell you for sure, because as I talk to people in the FDA, I've talked to Dr. Fauci. I've almost broken my leg running after Dr. Fauci, trying to talk to Dr. Fauci. I talk to people constantly. What we know for sure is there are no absolutes with this, but what is 99.9% sure is that the vaccine will stop disability and death. Breakthroughs. I know a lot of people who've had breakthroughs and they are tough, but they're not dead and they don't have disability. But what we're
gonna bring you back and talk about that because talking to some other people, some other friends, and hearing about people who have been adversely affected to the point after they have been vaccinated and they have.
I was out for 11 days. I had the Johnson & Johnson. I was like, it knocked me down. Yeah. And I'm actually actively trying to get into a trial, the mixed match trial, because I don't think my body can take that again. It was bad. And they said, since I had that small of a piece of COVID, imagine if I had the whole thing, I would have been in the hospital at the very least. Wow. So that's what I've been told by doctors. But getting to this NBA thing, we have got to really make sure people are armed with information, because if it's not about your body or whatever, why are we not taking it? But I didn't realize as many people didn't take the flu vaccine. And I'm on my way to take the flu because we're in cold and flu season now. Right. I didn't realize it. So it's kind of along the line, but this is a different thing. Right. This is deadly. People are losing family members. I mean, people are checking out of here. Yeah. And there are no absolutes with this. But what we do know is that vaccine is a lifesaver. It doesn't stop you from getting sick. It stops you from dying.
But it can minimize a lot of aspects of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys, we're going to move to entertainment because it's all about George Wallace right now. I know. Yes, it is. It's all about Mr. Wallace. He is a man of.
Look at him blushing. Oh.
He's a man of many talents, but this week he is all over the TNV, if you will. An episode of The Premise, which is his episode is called The Ballad of Jesse Wheeler. That's on FX on Hulu. And he also, a TV show that premieres tonight, it's an animated show. It's called 10-Year-Old Tom, and that's on HBO Max. And George, we're about to see a clip. Tell us what this is.
Okay, I am a lawyer on the show. I'm one of the school kids' dad, and I go in and I make some stupid comments about how we can handle a legal situation. So you're going to see me talking to this kid right here. And it's something I wouldn't do in real life, but
yeah, sure.
If you're going to show this clip.
Chica, do we have that?
Chica, do we have that? I think Yoga said we would
Okay.
not use it. Do we have it?
I don't know what the discussion was.
Well,
George,
I want to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna get it.
We don't have the rights to it. That's what it is.
Well, every time I see George on TV, I go to the TV. I said, George, do you see me? And he just keeps on talking to whoever he's talking to on TV. I'm like, George, do you see me?
Well, go online right now and get it. It's on HBO Max, and it's called 10-Year-Old Tom. Do that. Also go to Hulu and get the premise and see George. And also Tuesday morning, make sure you watch Good Morning America 3. I'll be there with TJ Holmes, and we'll be talking about many things. We'll be talking about the book and selling more books and other shows we're doing, and we'll be talking. There you go, Sybil. Hold it up. It's called Bull Twit and Bull Twit 2. They want a Bull Twit 2, so I might have
George,
to
can I get a shout out when you take with TJ on Tuesday, please? We can. I'll send you $20 and work on a script with you offline.
$40, yeah.
Okay, you know what?
Only have 4.5 minutes. So what can I do in 4.5 minutes? Because I want to talk about.
You know what? I've asked many a man that, but never get a satisfaction.
Oh, I can do that in 4.5. I can do that in 4.5.
I bet you can.
You got that down to a science level. Hey George, I want to say this. I've said it to you privately. I think it's really remarkable how you are truly a Renaissance man. I mean, you're somebody who defied the odds. You went and took over Vegas, and as a veteran talent in this business, sometimes opportunities and things aren't always readily available because we are in an industry where ageism is pervasive. But my friend, continues to defy the odds, break new ground, and do things. It is so inspiring and exciting to watch, and I'm proud to see you keep knocking it out the park, my friend.
Absolutely. I hear you.
Well, thank you. I'm so blessed. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just having fun. Like I'm saying, we just talk about next week. We can talk about some other things. Working with the great Norman Lear, we're starting to go in production with that. So things are just going great, and we're having some fun.
Janet Ferguson is on Facebook asking us to do part 2 with April, George, and John next week. I missed most of the show, so yes, I would love that.
Can we do it? Let's do it. John, are you available? Let's do it next week.
I got y'all. I'm here.
And April, if you can join us, we'd love to have you. I know your schedule. I know how crazy your schedule is.
If you can't do it, Judge Maybelline is going to sit in for you.
Okay, she'll do.
And I thought I couldn't get a word in edgewise this week. Right? Lord, with the judge, it's really going. She gonna have a gavel and everything.
He's calling me. He's calling me Megan McCain.
I was calling everybody. It's just jokes.
Whatever. Goodbye.
All right. Hang on one second. Before we let you go, April, every day we also have in the newsletter, we have a moment of Zen, of inspiration, if you will. It's called Yogi's Jewel. So tonight we ask you to say no to depression, anxiety, and worry that plague your soul.
That's a good one.
Say no to depression, anxiety, and worry that plague your soul. Amen. With this, we are going to leave you and have a clip. We have a clip of our Ain't She Worthy. This is a poetry album by one of our young social activists. This is Quinn Townsend Riley's work. It's available now on Apple Music, Spotify, and Tidal. Thank you guys so much for your patience.
April, it took you 18 months to get here. It took me 18 months to get her here. Thank you for coming, April. Will you come back? Come back in May, June, July?
What?
Next week?
All right, I'm gonna work on it. Okay. As long as everything is standing still and doesn't need me too much, I'll try to definitely make it back.
I love you, April, and
and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
So grateful. John, you know how I feel, and George, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
And she worthy. She worth more than words itself, but she worth the words still. She worth the affirmation, the apology, the applause, the awe. She worth the wait. But she won't be waiting for long because she is a win. She's the antidote to sin. She be worshiping, she be on her knees and palms pressed for you and yours and them too because she be willing to give. She be willing to live. She know she got the world on her back and the galaxies in her womb. She is a woman. So she know that means she is a warrior too when she be wielding words and wars with different words, size, hands on hip or glare and eyes. She be cutting with no knives. She be seducing only with her eyes. She be having you fall in love only with her mind. And what's between her thighs? only one of God's greatest designs. She is a masterpiece. And she still be human though too. She be wanting to yell sometimes, you know. She be weeping sometimes too, you know. She be wobbling on the tightrope of grief, of healing. She be feeling things that sometimes she don't want to feel no more. And she worry about her future, about her love, about all of the above, about you and yours and them too. And she weary of the ways of the world and how the world keep treating or killing or abducting these black girls. But she still work, no matter how wounded. She still winds up her back to walk like that, to smile like that, to do that. People think she magic, but she just woven with God like that. She be with God like that, even when she wreck her life like that. When she be more wrath than warmth, God never let her go, because she is worthy. Worthy is she, and she is me.